So the Naruto live action is in the making, and there have been a lot of talks about it, and from the looks of it, it looks like it's going to be a good one because this live action, there are multiple reasons that I think this live action is going to be good, such as how the director of this live action, who also directed Shang-Chi, which is, I'm sure most of you know it, it's an MCU movie that is very Asian themed, and Naruto is an Asian story, so when we get a person who's already worked on something similar, it gives you sort of hope that this live action will be good. And not only that, the director of Shang-Chi, his name is Dustin Daniel Cretton. I hope I didn't butcher the name, but he met with Masashi Kishimoto. They've had conversations on how to adapt this show, and it's looking like Masashi Kishimoto has given his blessing on this live action adaptation. Similar to the circumstance with One Piece, Ichiro Oda, creator of One Piece, had multiple meetings, conversations about how to adapt the One Piece live action with the showrunner, and One Piece turned out good, and the same thing is happening with Naruto. That gives me a hope that this Naruto live action might just work out, and it's going to be a movie, so there's a good thing and also a bad thing about it. The good thing is it's going to have a big budget. It's going to be directed by Lionsgate, so the budget is going to be enough for the CGI and special effects to look good. So special effects wise and whatnot, I'm not worried about that. The things that I'm worried about is, since it's going to be a movie, surely they're going to cut out some stuff because they're not going to be able to fit in, let's say, if they want to adapt up to the Chunin exams or Sasuke retrieval arc. A movie is not going to be enough to tell that story because there's a lot of material, and I'm curious how they're going to handle that. That's my big worry. If they are going to succeed or fail on that aspect, I think that is what is going to make or break the story. And surely they are planning sequels, so I hope they just take their time in telling this story, because Naruto is a very popular IP. A lot of people in the world love this story. A lot of people got to anime because of Naruto. I myself got into anime because of Naruto, and it's going to get the support regardless. But if they do it right, they've got something special that's going to make them a lot of money. It could go to Naruto 7 or 5, 8 sequels. It could be really huge, like how the Harry Potter movies were, if they get it right. I just hope they don't bite more than they could chew and adapt a whole lot of story in a 2-hour or 3-hour movie, because that is not going to be good. If they do that, that will just ruin it. And I'm very hopeful that they're not going to do that, because Masashi Kishimoto is sort of working on this alongside the director. And like I said before, the director of this movie has worked on Shang-Chi, who is a superhero, and it's also Asian themed, and I think he's the perfect guy for this job, and they couldn't have a better director for it, it feels like, because Shang-Chi, there's a lot of CG superpowered special effects, and Naruto is also going to require that, and he's already been through it, so the director is perfect for it. And Masashi Kishimoto, as I said, is working on it, so in that regard, I think they are set. Another thing I might be worried about is if they add woke messages into it. I think that will affect the show in a negative way. I hope they don't mess with stuff like that, such as making Sasuke a female, or messing with the story unnecessarily. I hope they don't lean into the woke stuff, and if they do, I'm going to be really worried, because it has the potential to ruin something that can be very huge, and I just hope they don't lean into that too much. And also, one thing that I really don't like is when they lean into that woke stuff, like adjusting the story for modern audiences and cutting out the character development, making the characters perfect right from the get-go. I hope they don't do that, because that will ruin the story. If they mess with the story like that, it will ruin it for me, and I hope they don't do that. And since Masashi Kishimoto is there working with the director, I don't think that will happen, but you never know. You just can't be too sure. This sort of stuff happen, and when they remove the character development, what made us like Naruto in the first place, how he was a lonely kid who everyone feared him, and later on he becomes this hero that everyone looks up to and loves. I don't think they'll mess with that, but if they mess with that, that will be not good. If they just adapt the source material, obviously you cannot adapt it one-to-one. Some changes need to be made so that the show can be consumable, watchable for live action audiences. You can't adapt it one-to-one because that's gonna be hella corny when you adapt anime one-to-one in live action. That's why most Japanese live actions don't succeed, because they're too faithful to the source material and they adapt it one-to-one and it becomes so corny. And when it comes to American live action adaptations, they don't stick to the source material and it doesn't become recognizable. It becomes something different, something absolutely different. And it's only recently that I think directors, writers, and producers are realizing that sticking to the source material is what's better, as we've seen with One Piece and the Avatar live action. Even though it's not an anime, you can see that even if I have major gripes with the Avatar live action adaptation, I didn't like it, you can see that they were trying their best to be faithful to the source material, even though they could have done a better job. One Piece is the best example. They were faithful and it worked out for them, and I just hope they're smart about how they go about adapting the show. Adapt things that are important, such as the story, the character development, the CG, the special effects. You need to get them right. Get those things right. Don't mess with the story unnecessarily. That was the major thing that held the Avatar live action adaptation. They just messed with the story unnecessarily, and it was not as good as it could have been. And I hope that doesn't happen with Naruto. I want this Naruto live action adaptation to be good, to be like the Harry Potter franchise or even better, because if they do that, this will be really huge for the Naruto franchise. And in fact, I wouldn't be bothered if all they adapt in this movie is up until the Zabuza story. If the first Naruto movie is only up to that point, I wouldn't be bothered, to be honest, as long as they get the effects and the emotions, the story, as long as they're faithful and they do it right, I won't be bothered. Even the Yu Yu Hakusho live action, the thing that held it back was the effects were spot on, the fights were really good, but studios have a fear that if they don't cover the cool moments of that story as soon as possible, people won't like them, and that is the major problem. That's not how it works. People just want to consume a good story. You just don't have to cram in all the cool moments. The Yu Yu Hakusho live action adaptation just wanted to cram in all the great moments of that show and crammed like 3 to 4 long arcs in 8 episodes, and it just didn't convey the story naturally, and that was its weakness. That was what ruined that show for me. Had they told the story naturally, just the first arc or part of the first arc, and it was a good story and it didn't just cover all the hype moments of the Yu Yu Hakusho story just for the sake of it, that would be good. And that's my biggest fear. I hope the director and the people working on this Naruto live action movie don't think that, we need to get the Zabuza moment, the Lee versus Gaara, and the Sasuke retrieval. We need to put all these moments and cram it all into 3 hours or 2 hours of a movie, and if that happens, I'm going to be disappointed, because you cannot tell that amount of story in such short amount of time. And I just hope they take their time in telling the story. I just hope every studio do that and they don't fear us not getting all the cool moments will ruin that story. I just hope they had the confidence to just tell the story at its own pace and deliver it to us, because I think most of us would like that. No one would like to consume a story that is not cohesive and that's just fast paced and nothing makes sense. That's how the Yu Yu Hakusho live action feels like. I feel like we're over the days of the Dragon Ball Evolution live action adaptation or the Death Note live action adaptation. I think studios have evolved from producing those kind of horrendous horror movies. I don't think think this Naruto live action will reach those lows. The worst this Naruto live action could be is how the Yu Yu Hakusho live action or how the Avatar The Last Airbender live action were stories that unnecessary changes were made to them, or too many things were crammed and it just becomes stale. If this show is not good, I think it'll just be a 5 to 6 out of 10. I say that because I think we're over the days of the Dragon Ball's evolutions and anime live action adaptations of that sort. If they get this Naruto live action right, it will be absolutely huge. It will be a megalith of a franchise. It will be massive. That's just how I feel, and I hope they get this anime live action right because it has a lot of potential. And that's all I have to say for today, and see you guys in the next one.